How's it going, guys? It's Poetry Said. Welcome back to the third episode of the mini-series where I'm explaining some CK2 concepts to basic beginners. And welcome back. I just took a quick little break, so hopefully I'm not too rusty, but it's the same day as the other video, so I should remember right where I was. So, in the last episode we covered the council, the laws, and the technology tabs. We're going to move on to military, and I think I'm only going to briefly cover this one because I'm going to definitely get more in depth with it probably later on this episode or the next, or I would say when we get to war probably for the first time, because I do want to show that in this little series. But here we have this. We have you have your levies, and that just means your armies. You have your from domain, which is from your land again, your land personally, and you also have from your vassals. Right now we have hardly any from our vassals, and late game what you'll see, when you get more powerful, what you'll see is that most of it is from your vassals, and you don't want to use your domain if you don't have to. Because part of the reason you have a domain is so that if your vassals try to rebel, you have a force of your own to fight back with. So you can see we have these guys who are providing us troops, and the reason that it says he could provide at most 603 troops. The reason why is because the reason why we're only getting 106 out of him is because his opinion of us is fairly low, and also our laws. And so if we go back to laws, I didn't talk about this part of laws, and it's probably a good time to do it. But under realm, you can do like centralization, which increases your domain limit, lowers your vassal limit. And obligations, you can change taxation and levies for 4 different things: for feudals vassals, for city vassals, for church vassals, and tribal vassals. Tribal doesn't matter. Church and city are kind of a little important, but feudal is very important. So like if we want to raise more money, we can make feudal taxation a thing, and you can see it's like a slider almost. There's different levels of it, and you can see the effects. So we have normal levies right now. We probably want to try to get to max so that we can get the most possible. However, you can't do that until you get to legalism at least level 7. And you know, while we're here, why don't we just try to pass this? And so what you do when you're passing a new law is you click OK here, and you can see all the opponents. And as we unpause, then that'll kind of go on its own, and they'll eventually support it, hopefully. So you have all your armies here, and to raise them, you just do this. You click raise and raise. And there, you can see them. You can box over them, and you can move them to a certain place like Bordeaux. And so it's very simple. If you played any other grand strategy games or any strategy games in general, it's fairly simple. The controls are. A quick little shortcut that might be helpful is if you have people sieging down your land, you don't want to raise your levy right on top of them. So you can hold control, and it'll only raise them in provinces where you're not being sieged, and that's important. When you have 2 armies on the same province as you do here, you can, if you select both of them with the box, you can merge them. You can reorganize the individual units. I don't normally do that very often, though. But you can also click G to quickly combine them, and you can set your generals in charge. And combat is a little bit more advanced, but basically you just set your generals here if you want them there. And so it's a little more advanced than that, and there's some other things that go into it in battles, and I might talk about that a little bit, but I'm probably not going to do a lot of that over the course of this game, this mini-series, I mean. But that's the basics of military, essentially. There's also mercenaries, which you can buy. They cost a lot of money, though, and you got to be careful, because if you can't pay for their upkeep and you run out of money, then they'll sometimes turn against you or just leave, and that's bad if you're in the middle of a war. There's also fleet levies, which is just your ships, and it's pretty self-explanatory. It's the same thing as armies, just on the ocean. There's buttons to load men onto ships and stuff, and I won't really show that right now, though. So that's pretty much military. It's fairly simple. Let's skip intrigue for now and go to factions. So factions are these things you can create and can be created against you. So, for example, we're the Duchy of Aquitaine. If some of our counts feel that they should have more power, or they want someone else to be in charge even, if my brother was like one of my vassals or something and he has a claim, he can press a claim through a faction if he gets enough support. And you'll see it here, and we'll look at that in a little bit. We're probably going to have a couple factions in France. And so we, as a vassal of the King of France, we can actually form factions. And my resolution is kind of strange, so it's kind of cutting off the thing, but there's a button down here that allows you to start factions, and then you have this. So obviously we can like create a faction to put some other people on the throne of France. We can have a faction for independence, for elective succession, for gavelkind succession, because it's primogeniture right now, and if you don't remember what those mean, you can go look in the last episode where I briefly cover that. But yeah, so there's a bunch of factions and stuff, and we'll talk about that more later. And the last tab is religion. I hardly ever check this tab, unless you're playing as a pagan thing, religion or anything. You're not really going to check this. Sometimes you can check who the pope is. You can check if there's any anti-popes. But that doesn't really matter unless your king or emperor above you creates an anti-pope, in which case they're your religious head. So when you're improving religious relations, you want to make sure you improve with your religious head. But beyond that, religion is very unimportant. I don't even worry about this whole thing, appointing successors. So anyways, though, let's go back to Intrigue. I skipped over this because this is one of the ones you're probably going to visit the most. So in Intrigue is where you see decisions, and there's a lot of decisions you can do. It's not just Intrigue related. It's kind of like just a general area where you can do decisions. So right now we don't have a lot, but you can see you can like go on a grand hunt. We could just go on a grand hunt right now. We could hold a summer fair, hold a feast. That's just kind of fun stuff that you could do. It doesn't really do anything, honestly. Present debutante, I'm not sure exactly to say that. Invite noble to court, invite holy man to court, and promote commander. These four all have the same purpose, and essentially what this does is it just generates a new NPC in your court, a new vassal or courtier, and even it's not even a vassal yet, unless you make them one. And so this can be good if you conquer a whole bunch of new land, especially if you're conquering against infidels, if you're conquering against like Muslims or something, and you don't want to put the Muslims right back in charge. You took all their land. You want to put some Christians in charge, but you don't have any family members to give the land to. You can promote commanders or invite nobles to court, and the stats are kind of more, a noble would be more diplomatic focused, commander more martial. A debutante, that's a girl. That's like a noble woman. Makes her debut at a formal ball. A holy man is more learning focused and is very religious, is good for religious holdings, and then you can put them in charge of stuff. So that's all that's for. You can convert to the liege's culture. So, for instance, right now, if we go to culture map mode, you can see all this southern half of France is Occitan, and that's what culture we are. But the French own all of this land, and so the French are actually... So we could convert to his culture if we had enough prestige, because you lose prestige when you do that. Also, similarly, if you're a different religion than your liege, you can also convert to that. If you're a different religion or culture than your capital province, you can convert to that. There's a whole bunch of other things here. Some plots that you do, which we'll cover in a second, you can actually, the decision to activate the plot is in here. So, what is this? The click to choose a plot thing. That is an extremely important button that you will be using a lot. So essentially what you want to do here is you can look through and see, and this is basically where you can plot to kill people, and this is a major way of getting things. So for example, if I were to marry into this guy's family enough to the point where his heir is my son, then I can murder him, and my son will get the land. And so it's very simple. You just click on this little button here, click to choose a plot. You start the plot, and you click auto invite plotters, and it'll invite anyone who would be interested in joining. And then from there, you can look at this and look at potential people. And if they have like the red means you're probably never going to be able to get them, but if they have a yellow dash, I'm not seeing it right now, then you could send them a gift and perhaps convince them that to join your side. Anyways, though, that's actually pretty much all the very basics. I say we go ahead and get going. Let's start this game up, and let's just go, because I do want to get some gameplay in, definitely. And I'll probably put like an annotation in the first video saying you can skip to this point, so if you're just joining us now, welcome. And I'll try to cover some stuff as we go along, as well, that I've already covered, but kind of reiterate how it works when you're actually playing the game. So let's go ahead and go. Alright, there we go. 3 episodes in, and we're just starting to play. Alright, we'll go up to speed 2. So you can see stuff is happening. The Duke of Normandy over here is doing stuff. He's attacking England. Okay, so we got an offer from our king. He wants his steward to educate our daughter. So that's one thing, is that education is a big part of this. So like, for instance, my daughter right now is being educated by one of my couriers. However, if I go and right-click on her portrait, it brings up this menu, as it does for any other character. It brings up this menu. And I want myself to educate her. So let's go ahead and educate her. Now we're educated her. Ooh, so look at this. So Duke Thibault of Champagne is found in the elective succession in France. So if we go to factions, F8 is the shortcut. You can see he started this thing for elective succession. It is 63.7% strength of the liege. So he has 4,000 men under his control. He's a big old duke. And this guy is 9.34. So he's quite a bit more. But if that's including the stuff that would be revolting. So that's interesting. You can see all these armies moving around, and we are actually in a war right now. The reason being that the Holy Roman Empire and France have gone to war. So we don't actually have to actively participate in this. The only reason we're at war is because we're a vassal of France. However, they won't be able to take anything. And war is an interesting thing that I'll definitely cover a little bit. So what do I want to do? Let's see. I think what we'll probably want to do is possibly revoke a county or something, so I can show you guys how that works. I don't know. Let's see. Is there anyone we could kill that would be interesting? I don't know. Let's see. Let's go ahead and talk about how war works while this is going. I won't pause it again. I want to keep this going. But so you can see there's a war going on, and you can see everything about it from this screen down here if you click on this. Holy Roman French de jure war over Ghent, over the province of Ghent. So it's a de jure war, like we talked about. There's these de jure zones, and because the Holy Roman Empire exists and it de jure is supposed to own all the way up to here, then they are pressing a de jure claim on Ghent. And you can kind of see up here, de jure claim on Ghent. And so that basically means if they win this war, you have to get to 100% war score, which is done by winning battles and sieges. If you get to 100% war score, then they'll win. And it's a little bit interesting because in this game, once you press for a certain claim, you can't add any other claims like you can in Victoria 2 if you're familiar with the system in that game. It's not like EU4 either, where you can customize it every time, and it'll be a little different. You can get whatever you want in multiple provinces. Once you declare the war, that's what you're getting if you win, or you're just not winning. So we're going to become a commander, it looks like. Our liege has appointed us as a commander. You know what? Let's try to have some fun. Let's go ahead and try to kill the king. So, he is really weak. We start with 205% plot power. So this is something I didn't get a chance to talk about. So this is good. On the go, I can kind of explain this. We have a lot of plot power because he's a kid or something. I'm not even sure exactly why we have so much plot power. But, no matter. Essentially, plot power means the percentage. It's not really a percentage to completion. It's percentage. The higher the percentage, the more likely it's going to fire sooner, I guess. And so there's kind of different barriers. If you're below 100%, it's like very rarely going to fire soon. It's going to take a long time to fire. Once you reach 100%, then it's like fairly frequently going to fire events that'll try to murder him. And if it doesn't succeed on the first one, fairly frequently afterwards it will. And if you reach 200%, then it'll quickly fire. And so those are like the really big brackets. It's 0 to 100 is very infrequently going to fire. 100% to 200% is going to fire decently often. And then the other, above 200%, it's going to fire pretty quickly. I'm not sure if it scales any more from there, but that's what I've heard in the past. So we'll see if that's we're able to do anything with that. I'm not sure if we'll be able to. So obviously, so let's go and look at some stuff. In our court, not our court, in our vassals, I never mentioned this. There's different tabs here that you can look at, and it basically shows you other people that you have relationships with, in pacts and alliances, which I need to get to still. I'm realizing, see, this is why I'm glad that we unpause. Now I'm seeing all this stuff that I forgot to talk about. So yeah, so let's go look at our vassals. You can sort by opinion. As you can see, we have some vassals that don't have a very high, excuse me, don't have a very high opinion of us. Female heir, desires the Duchy of Poitou, and ambitious. So that's bad. What I think we'll do... Ooh, we're winning the war. Nice. So what I think we will do is... Let's see. What was I going to say? I think... What we might want to do is... try to secure an alliance. So this is something interesting where in this game, in the current patch at least, You secure alliances with marriage, and that's how it's always been, but it's a little bit different now. And so essentially, let's say I wanted to get an alliance with this dude. Let's find someone who actually needs a wife, and then maybe we can work that out. So like, you still have a wife. So this dude, the Count of Maine, heir to the Duchy of Normandy, that's pretty powerful. The Duke of Normandy normally even is able to conquer England and stuff, and that's pretty good. So what we're going to do is we're going to arrange a betrothal. Click on this and find him in the list. That's their court. Now we'll click on our court. Oh, he's already a count too. Count of Maine. Okay. And now I want him to marry my daughter. So I want him to do this. Don't worry about this because we're going to get another kid soon. Even if we don't, that's okay. So there's matrilineal marriages, which means it's of your dynasty, and then there's normal marriages, which means it's of the male's dynasty, which is that's the primary one. But they hardly ever accept matrilineal marriages, so just kind of get used to, if you want people of your dynasty, then you'll have to use males. And so if you don't have males, you're kind of screwed because you have to become a dynasty member or else the game is over. And that's what CK2 really is. It's a dynasty building game, which I never even really talked about, how it's that type of game. So we'll marry this dude, though. So now we've married this guy. Or he hasn't accepted yet. We sent our proposal. Let's see if he did. Yeah, so he accepted a betrothal. So we now have a non-aggression pact with him because we have, you know, marriage ties to him. We have a non-aggression pact, which means he will not attack us in any wars. Now, if we right-click on him, we can actually form an alliance, and he doesn't actually want to. But we could send him a gift. We'll do that. Let's send him a little gift because he's going to be important, I think. So let's send him a gift. Oh, okay, so this is interesting. We found one of our counts trying to fabricate a claim on one of our duchies. Let's see if we can end that plot. Okay, we can't, so we'll talk about what we're going to do with that in a second. Still, though, first, I want to go and let's see if we can't get this guy to make an alliance with us. Oh, he still won't. Darn. Well, once you do get that up to a yes, then you form an alliance, and when you form a proper alliance, then they'll always join any wars you're in. They'll always join any wars you're in, and they'll always whether you're defending or attacking. So that's really nice. Attacking, not always, actually. I lied. So there's this dude. He's being a problem. He has decided he wants to fabricate a claim on one of our provinces. I don't think we're going to let that fly. So what we're going to do is, okay, nice. So we got an army reinforcement event. I should have let you guys read that, but he's the Count of Thouars. So let's find Thouars. Let's go there. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to imprison him so that we can kill him or whatever. And so normally you're not able to just imprison any person. Like, so let's say we were trying to imprison this dude. If we imprison him, it'll say every vassal will not like you, will dislike you by 40%. That's, or 40%, yeah, 40 opinion. That's a lot of opinion to lose with your vassals, and you don't want that because you don't want to be a tyrant. That's essentially the reason why they would not like you. However, this dude, we have a reason to imprison him because he's doing something against us. He's treasonous. So we have a 61% chance of capturing him. However, if we don't capture him, he'll probably raise his flag in rebellion. So what we need to do is, what I'm doing is I'm actually getting all my troops and putting them right on top of his province. So right when he rebels, if we don't catch him, it'll actually, we'll start sieging his land down immediately and just make sure he has no time to raise his troops and, you know, oh, okay. So anyway, so here we go. We have a little event. So there's lots of like flavor events and stuff, which is one cool thing about CK2. A group of hedge knights have come to visit Aquitaine. Mayor Louis has met with them and asked for my reply. So we can welcome them with the lavish feast, get some prestige, and gain the trait gregarious, which you can hover over and see what it does. That's a pretty good one, right? We can also welcome them reluctantly and refuse them access, and that's not normally good. So we'll do this. I'm fine with that. It sounds fun. So let's go and try to imprison this dude. Alright, let's cross our fingers. Yeah, there we got him. So now he's in our dungeon. And we can put away all the troops. And one thing to recognize is that when you dismiss the levy, it dismisses them from wherever they are. And if they're not in your country that you are a part of or own, then if they're not in there, then you'll lose a lot of them on the way. They'll get lost on the way home. I never got that really, but either way, you want to keep them in your land when you dismiss them with that button. So yeah, we have this dude. Wait, that wasn't the right dude. Wait, what? Did we imprison the wrong dude? Did I imprison the wrong dude? I might have just messed up big time. No? No. We have a reason to get 2 guys in jail. Oh, there is another one. This was the original guy. Okay, well, let's go ahead and, do this again. So the Hedge Knights one of them got injured. So we'll do we want to lose prestige or gold to gain piety? Gold is normally a little easier to come by. So what we'll do is we will imprison this guy. So, well, I'll take this time to show you where you can view your prisoners and stuff. The game auto-saved. So you can view them here, and you can actually, like, ransom them back, and they'll pay some of their money to become free again. Or you can execute them. Execution, it's viewed as tyrannical unless they absolutely, like, rebelled against you or something. There's certain things that allow you to do that. But, either way, we can't even revoke his titles, which is one thing. Alright, so this is interesting. A man claiming to be a lord who disappeared 7 years ago has found his way to my castle. He sings of the fair queen of Elfland, and some say his songs are prophetic. So we can become kind if we give him some stuff. We can become cynical, or paranoid. That's funny. There's some funny event chains with that, I know. We can get a courtier, or we can have him say, I'd love to hear him sing, because we're gregarious. So that's interesting. You get special things based on what traits you get, and that's one thing I always liked about CK2. Let's just do this. Gain that trait. Let's see how this plot is going. Oh, okay, so here it is. So this guy, he's kind of like, might be persuaded with the bag of gold. So in other words, if we give this guy some gold, he'll be willing to join our plot, and you'll see him pop up here in a sec after he receives it. Yep, so we're waiting for an answer. It's auto-inviting, of course. So it's auto-inviting, and because he all of a sudden has more reason to join, now he's there. Alright, so let's see if we can imprison this dude. Hey, we got successful both times. That's pretty good. So let's see, who do we got in our prisons? What we'll do is we'll probably ransom them. So normally what you can do is you can actually revoke titles, and they don't have to be in prison for you to try to do this. But if let's let him rot in his cell. You can read those events on your own time, I'd say, to get some of the flavor. I don't want to spoil it for you. You can actually revoke titles from people. And normally, you have to have higher crown authority, though. But normally you can revoke titles and stuff, and sometimes they'll accept. If they don't, then they'll actually go to war. But if they're in prison, you can actually revoke it without them having any choice. And the downside of this is that it's viewed as tyrannical sometimes, unless, like I said, they rebelled or something like that, or they tried to kill you. Something serious. Oh, excuse me. So we're just going to ransom them. Get a good bunch of money. That's 140 gold. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So England and Normandy are fighting over here. They have, like, very similar flags. Never noticed that. They're fighting over there. That's the invasion of England by the Duke of Normandy, Duke William the Conqueror / the Bastard. Oh, no, that's the Norge. So that's the Norwegians invading. We got it in this episode soon, but as you can see, we're putting a lot of stuff in action. We're trying to kill the King of England. We used our armies a couple times, although I didn't actually see any combat. We haven't had any of these events fire. Oh, we have the trained troops event fire. So that's good. What we might do is, we'll move him to another one now, so that he can start working on getting another thing there. This dude, he has an heir. Okay. Again, we're trying with this dude. We're trying to fabricate a claim on his duchy, so we can try to take him over. Anyways, though, let's go in and end this episode here, though. But we saw some gameplay now, and next episode might be the last one of the series, because we've kind of done a lot of stuff. I do want to see a war, though, or show you guys some of the combat, and I do want to show you guys how the plots work when you actually succeed with them and stuff. And I kind of want to do some other stuff, but we'll see what we get to, and then once I feel like we've covered a lot, then we'll go ahead and end this little mini-series. But thank you guys for watching. Go ahead and leave a like and subscribe for more. I will see you guys in the next video when we will probably try to get up to some mischief. So until next time, goodbye.